You know, there's always been one kaiju film that stuck out to me ever since I was a kid. Even though I was always a huge Godzilla fan, there will always be a special place in my heart for Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. This is a movie I remember renting from a Blockbuster some 20 years ago now, back when I was a wee tot. I remember the guy at the checkout saying, "Listen kid, I could rent this turtle crap to you for $5, or I could sell it to you for $2. Ah, the good old days. I was now the proud owner of my Gamera VHS. Though an outdated medium, VHS had a nice feature where trailers would play before the actual film began. This is where I was first introduced to classic films like Super Atragon, and also, one of my favorite series of all time, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yep, I have Gamera Guardian of the Universe to thank for my Eva fandom. Now, let's talk about why this movie is so special. Before I saw this film, I could never really get into Gamera. He always felt like a ripoff of Godzilla. "Oh, you guys have a giant lizard? Well, we got a turtle. Yours shoots fire? So does ours. Yours is an allegory for the atomic bomb? Well, we got a turtle." Overall, the original Gamera series had an extremely kid-centric feel I always found off-putting. What with Gamera being dubbed a friend to children. Sure, he's like a funny uncle.
"I used to bounce you on my knee when you was a little kid. Your father got really mad at me. I explained to you that your body was changing."
That, and he also had his own little upbeat Gamera march. Let's just take a second to compare Godzilla's theme to Gamera's.
Meanwhile,
even as a kid, I thought what the Gamera series needed was a makeover, tonally and structurally. Gratefully, so did the film's director, Shusuke Kaneko. Never a Gamera fan himself, even disliking the original series, Kaneko had originally approached Toho to make a Godzilla film, but was turned down. That's when he was approached by Daiei to revitalize the long-dormant Gamera series. The pressure was on to match the success of the Godzilla franchise with Gamera, a monster who'd only had one feature film in the previous quarter-century. Kaneko's dislike of the original Gamera series even had him questioning whether the film should just be a comedy, until Gamera's origins were rewritten to allow a different type of story to be told. It even got to the point where the word turtle was excluded from the script entirely, and the director even declared turtles to not exist in the universe, so no silly comparison could be made. A series that had begun as the adventures of a little boy and his giant pet turtle had now stripped away the turtle, and gratefully, the little boy. Even though the studio wanted some goofy kid as a protagonist, the director managed to replace the concept with a teenage girl. It was clear Kaneko had a vision that defied tradition. However, even with production underway, the Godzilla envy was palpable on set, and oftentimes crew members would refer to Gamera as Godzilla. Little did they know, the success of Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, would be the envy of Godzilla directors of the time. A success that was marked in Japan's premier film magazine, Kinema Junpo. This would be the first kaiju film the magazine had ever featured in its yearly top 10 list, and in later years, would be joined by the likes of Shin Godzilla. Now that's high praise. Now behold, Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. From the ashes of a forgotten franchise rose this great phoenix of kaiju entertainment. Firstly, I've got to talk about that score. It's always been the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about this movie. The soundtrack really elevates the film and offers a feeling of tension and gravitas.
It's the Harbor Patrol. They say that there's a giant submarine object approaching the inner harbor.
That's it.
Though I cannot understand for the life of me why they saw fit to throw in rave music in the British dub. No, I'm not kidding.
I don't understand why you want help.
I
only agreed to go to the island. I didn't agree to be your
The
partner.
whole thing's got much bigger since
Well,
then.
yes, I'm very happy for you, but I'm going
Need
home.
your expertise on the matter.
I'm hardly dressed for it,
Don't
am I?
worry about that. We'll sort something out.
Can't you see
it
I'm
off.
not Professor Harag's death yet?
Turn it
Just
off!
please go away.
I'm really sorry.
The amazing score serves as the backbone for this epic story of Earth's long-forgotten protector rising up to fight the forces of evil, in this case, the man-eating bird species Gauss.
They're not birds! They've got scales and teeth! They're not birds at all!
Well, whatever they are. They fly around and snatch people up, sinisterly leaving behind their Walkmans. This would be the second time Gamera and Gauss would face each other, and there are several references to the original film, including the poster itself. However, this time, with a looming threat of Gauss procreating, it's up to Gamera to destroy the last of their species before time runs out. What makes this movie so epic is that the monster scenes aren't approached in the same way as Godzilla movies of the time, where the monsters would be dropped onto a battlefield and just put up the dukes. It seems the creators of this film went to great lengths to give us very unique and interesting set pieces for the monster sequences. In fact, I would say the weakest points in the film are when the monsters are just trying to square up in typical rubber suit fashion. The movie excels when we're given skirmishes in the woods and chases through the clouds. Just look at this beautiful set. I can't get over the attention to detail and the lighting and colors. It just adds a whole new dimension to the film. So, let's talk about the four main characters who drive this film. Tsuyoshi Ihara plays Yoshinari Yonemori. Ihara you may know from Clint Eastwood's film Letters from Iwo Jima, where he played the role of Baron Nishi. We also have Godzilla alum Shinobu Nakayama as Mayumi Nagamine, in a performance which would earn her several awards for Best Supporting Actress, including a nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the 19th Japan Academy Awards. Akira Onodera plays Naoya Kusanagi, aka Science Dad. He does science, and is a dad. He also drinks.
He drinks sake, wine, rum, and bourbon. Dad?
How many do you need? Masaki? Those cuts on her arms?
Now this is really interesting. Science Dad's teenage daughter with a psychic link to Gamera, Asagi Kusanagi, is played by Ayako Fujitani. So get this. Ayako Fujitani is the real-life daughter of none other than Steven Seagal. And before you ask, she only changed her last name so as not to ride on his coattails. They're chill. I even have a quote confirming it. However, after playing a small role in his film The Patriot, Fujitani experienced enough emotional difficulty to inspire her to write a novella titled Tohimu. Now this novella was picked up by Studio Ghibli, which made it into their first live-action film, Shikijitsu, a cult classic in Japan, which was helmed by none other than Hideaki Anno, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Shikijitsu is about a former anime director meeting a manic pixie dream girl type, played by Fujitani, who is lost in a world of fantasy. In the end, he helps her escape her fantasy world back to the real world. Now, if you saw the final Evangelion film, all of this must sound pretty familiar. My half-baked theory is that Ayako Fujitani and Hideaki Anno's wife both served as inspiration for the character of Mari in Evangelion, as well as Fujitani's story possibly being the inspiration for the final ending to Evangelion's iconic 30-year run. To think that all of that could have originated from Steven Seagal's balls is astounding. Speaking of Evangelion, I was surprised by the sheer amount of Eva voice actors that were peppered throughout this film. Kaji plays our male lead.
I have to find out, sir, just what that thing was.
Dr. Lady is Asuka.
Hey, who was it? Dr. Harada?
Asagi is Rei.
But first, Gamera and I must rest.
And her father, coincidentally enough, is Gendo Akari.
What?
Why must you share Gamera's suffering? Is it because of this damn thing?
Shinji also turns up as a science nerd,
You know, it wasn't easy getting a hold of you.
as well as the likes of Toji, Misato, Aoba, the class rep, and others padding the walls as newscasters or helicopter pilots. Now, one of the things I appreciate the most about this giant monster film is the level of detail put into the world building. Compared to the recent Godzilla vs. Kong, this film offers a greater scope of the events of the plot. When Gamera appears in the bay, we see the impact it takes on the local economy.
Hey! How come this fish costs so much?
It's the monster's fault. There'll be no more fish coming in till they catch it.
This is something other monster films forget to do in service of speeding up the plot. Little details like helicopters passing overhead, people gathered around radios, and schoolboys getting pumped up to watch the military take on a giant monster are so incredibly important and make the world of the film feel inhabited. Now, in terms of monsters and special effects, this film is on point when it comes to practical effects, like Gamera creating a hole in a cloud as he flies through, or Gauss growing in size. The level of attention on the suits is pretty damn impressive at times. It also has to be mentioned that in order to give Gauss more feminine movements, the film would cast a woman as the suit actor, the first time this has ever happened in a kaiju film, but certainly not the last. Now, to be fair, where the movie excels in practical effects, there is an obvious datedness to the CGI. It can be very hit or miss scene to scene, though those moments are ultimately diluted in the competency of the rest of the effects. At the end of the day, I'd still rank this movie in my top 5 kaiju films of all time. The list just wouldn't be complete without it. Boasting a structurally sound plot and sporting exciting monster action, Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, is the standout of its franchise and deserves to be recognized in the ranks of kaiju films as a whole. Director Shusuke Kaneko, having regarded Toshiro Honda's work on the classic Godzilla series as textbook, had wound up creating a textbook for future generations. And it's on YouTube for free right now, so go watch it. Trust me, it's gonna be a fun ride.